You love what you do when you're in the green room and you're talking and you're getting prepared for the show, and you look it up at the clock and you say, "Oh my God, we're supposed to be live right now," because it's just so amazing that we just love what we talk about, we love what we do, and we just get so caught up in the conversation that the time just runs out for not runs out, but just runs past us like holy mackerel. And for some reason, even my little timer on my iPhone that says, "Hey man, you're supposed to be live," Joey totally ignores it. So like whatever. Oh my god. Man, yeah, we were just talking about like processes, right? Like certain processes on how to do things and getting better at doing things. And it's funny that you and I were talking about this because on the Academy call today, I started with building systems and how to build systems because this is all I've been really focused on. I shouldn't say all, but very focused on this in the last 6 months or so. And then you just asked me a process like what's the process to do this or how do you automate certain things? And we got caught up in it. How you doing, man? I didn't ask you while we were in the green room. How you doing?
I'm doing good. And again, the intro, we've seen it, gosh, not just 163 times, probably multiple times of editing and putting the shows up. Don't get tired of seeing that intro. It's like I don't ever get tired of showing up on Tuesday night. It's not like, oh boy, it's Tuesday night. I got to go live with Joey. It's like, yeah, that's right. 7 o'clock. I was like at six, it was like 6:49. I'm like, oh my God, it's time. I gotta go. I gotta go.
I love it, man.
So
Thank you.
good to
Thank you
be
for being so
here. And
dedicated.
yeah, it's Joey. It's all part and parcel of what we talk about. It's showing up. It's being consistent. It's being dedicated. And really, the biggest thing is just I've been reading different things showing up lately, and it's staying consistent and seeing how people give up too soon before the miracle happens. They give up, as in the Dale Carnegie book, before they find the biggest vein of gold in the world, 5 feet from it, just because they don't give it enough time. You and I have talked about this is you put something out there to the world and maybe it crickets or deaf ears, and then you like keep at it and you keep at it. You This week's focus, a lot of my conversations has been tightening the lane, the guardrail. And how do you even more simple and more focused? Somebody I was engaging with to help me with a project, they have different superpowers. I only wanted one that I felt was most important. And I went to somebody else to get another superpower. Because to me, I've learned from all this and you is if we focus on one thing, and especially showing up in groups and helping, like, sure, I could answer a question on video size and creation in JPEG or PNG or SVG and the difference. But you know what? Leave it to somebody who's that's their lane
Yeah.
and just stay in my lane.
Yeah.
So there you go. Hi, Meadow. Good to see you.
Yeah. Great to see everyone. Thank you, Meadow. Thank you for Lorna for being here. It's so great to have you here. And if you are here and you're watching live, let us know by hashtag live or hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. And I'm also going to invite you to the Facebook group, by the way. Let me just put that into the group if you're not already in our Facebook group. And by the way, you don't have to. You can ignore actually this invitation if you're not heart centered, if your mission is not to serve the world and make it a better place. We do want to make money. We want to help build a healthy business. But if money is the only driver for you, just ignore that invitation because this group
Joey, and
is probably not for you.
I like the way thank you, Joey, and I like the way you positioned that. Is repelling, and we talk about that a lot, is repelling more people than you attract. And if you're not a dream client who's heart-centered, then everybody's wasting their time. You show up and you this, bandwidth clicking that, people's times. And the more important piece that you've really talked about, Joey, is creating an incredibly safe space, especially on the internet where it's crazy what you can. It's kind of like that joke of the picture of Abe Lincoln on a slide, and it says, "It's on the internet. It must be true." And a quote by Abe Lincoln, and that's what it is. So I love the fact that we talk about that, and you create what you create. You create your world, and I've gotten so intent on you got to jump through hoops to get into my world.
Yeah.
And I believe that what we need to is not like, oh, I saw an ad from a famous marketer. It's like, how to get 10,862 leads every day. And it's not, the Facebook, it's not LinkedIn, and it's not YouTube. I'm like, what would I do with 10,857 leads a day? And what would I have to go through and all of that? Oh, yeah, you get them into the funnel and this. Now I got all these emails and all these people that are interacting in my space. And just from, and Meadows on an energetic standpoint of what is all that noise and friction of trying to force people into that funnel. And you do this amazingly well in talking about, okay, so 10,000 people at this is going to cost you this. And if you get this percent to do this and this percent, and at the end of the day, you end up with 10, 15 buyers. Well, let's just start from there. And how do you get 10 or 15 buyers at a higher end thing rather than did I wash my face with my self liquidating offer? And now I have to put more money into Facebook and the algorithm changing this instead of show up every day and consistently do what you do and do well and stay in your lane and your zone of genius, and life gets easy. Go.
Yeah, it does, and thank you for bringing that up because you're right. It's great into what we're going to talk about, which is that our product is an obstacle, but at the same time, it's it's kind of all this is counterintuitive to and really opposite of what a lot of people talk about out there, which is I adopted the whole gate way into my world just I've adopted it a long time ago, but I realized kind of really how to parallel it if anybody's listening of what it really is, or another way of looking at it. It's kind of like the high end mastermind, and I always reference Joe Polish's Genius Network, and I think what really was a tipping point for me was when I read his latest book, and he was talking about the wrong people getting into the Genius Network at one time or whatever, and curating and all. He didn't really talk about curation, but he talked more about the right relationships basically. But it paralleled that, and then he said, you know, and what I took from that was doesn't really matter that you can give him $25,000 to be in the group. You have to be the right person to be in the group, so you don't damage what has already been built, and you're a cancer in the system and all this, and you got to cut out the cancers. And so when I started reading that, going, wait a minute, that's exactly what Atlas is about for me, or even now my world is, you know what, if you're not right for this, then you're not right for this, and that's okay, but you have to prove to me why you should be in my world. And people think that's crazy. But then the other part is I'll get asked, well, why does selling come so easy for you, or you don't have to convince people and all that? And that's the reason why, because all the work is done in the front end to pass the exam, jump through the hoop, whatever you want to call it, and prove to me why you should be in this, not only just in the group, because the group is a little bit easier, but it's to buy. And again, someone listening to this might think that's crazy. You're actually telling people you can't buy this thing, and it's not a trick. It's not like a scarcity pull. It's not one of these things. It's more of, no, prove to me why I should let you buy this from me, because you're protecting the tribe.
And again, I just want to jump on that and agree with it. Again, this is not conceit or grandiose. This is just real business. It's, you know what? You do have to qualify to, because to invest the time, effort, and energy that you and I do into their life, the bandwidth that it takes up, I don't want to end time going, you know what? I think I made a mistake, or this isn't the right fit, or this person just is that I thought. And yeah, there's too many out there that, and again, throttling and pummeling and this and that and that and that and that and that and that. So
Yep. I don't know who this is from
I'm
Salt
going to
Lake
guess
City.
that's Jeffrey.
I think, is it? Okay, thank you.
I'm going to guess it's Jeffrey.
Yeah. If it is, welcome, whoever that is. Thank you, Meadow, for all the amazing comments. And yeah, this. Let's jump into the topic, which is that your product or service or course, whatever, is an obstacle for your clients. And I think that what we're just talking about here is a perfect intro. It couldn't have been better because realistically, if you do the job of not only curating the right people into the group or your program course, and you recognize what we're going to talk about today, that your product is actually an obstacle, at least I'm coming at this from my experience with Atlas. I just know that it is a major obstacle for people because they have to unlearn a lot of stuff. And I admit to them at the beginning, you're probably in the 85% range. I don't know, but most of you, I think, are in the 85% range that you probably won't make a whole bunch of money by the end of 12 weeks, but you'll have a major breakthrough. So these are all things that are not great selling points to it. However, because it is an obstacle, the obstacle is the unlearning piece. And just for me and anybody listening to this, it doesn't matter what product or service or course you have, it's an obstacle because if somebody could press a magic button, right, they would. And everybody who joins Atlas, the same thing. If they could press a magic button and get the thing, they would. Nobody wants to go through my 12-week course. Nobody wants to repeat it again, but that's what they need to do. So our job, in my view of this, is that because it's an obstacle, we need to make it the least frictionable. Is that a right word? I guess whatever it is. A
It
word
is
now.
now. Frictionable is a new word in the
The
dictionary of
the
where we
least
were going.
frictionable object or
Frictionable.
objective or yeah obstacle that they need to go through to get to the
Yeah.
oasis.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'll
Joey, you and I
leave
have
it there.
you and I have talked about and joked about that you take Atlas for 3 months, and chances are most people aren't going to make any money.
Yeah,
So at the end of investing, 4 or 5 grand, whatever it is now, that you're probably not going to.
yeah.
And talk about taking the focus off the product as an obstacle when it's like instead of everything else, it's buy my product and your life will change forever. Take my program thingy and you'll have six packs abs in 30 days. Oh, come on, that's a bunch of nonsense. Or all these things where the product gets in the way instead of, okay, I'm going to retrain you and I'm going to teach you how to dream life with a dream business and dream clients. And
Yeah.
that's what they need. That's what they want. And if they don't, then go stand in another line. You don't belong in this one. And I think you're right. The product becomes the obstacle because it's usually where most people start. And you and I get a lot of people come to us with my product's not selling. I know it's a great product and I'm trying to sell it. Nobody's going to buy it no matter what I do. And should I try new ads? And should I do this and that and that and that and that? And it's unfortunate because there's so much brainwashing of the old way that's been done for the last, what, 15, 20 years? And you've done it different. You've changed it to where if this is what you're looking for, just again today I saw in a Facebook post somebody I know that I bought things from and showing a screenshot of how much money they're making and the product and they're gonna yeah go.
Well, I would just like to know, even from the amazing audience right now, or even if you're watching us on the replay, let us know. Or if you have a question, let us know, or your feedback on this, or your insights on what you think about the topic that your product or service or course could be an obstacle. Because I want to dive into this, and the more questions or clarity that we could give you, because if you're unclear about this or have better questions, the better it is for us to help you.
So Joey, if I was to ask you, sum up what is meant by your product or service is an obstacle, what would you say? Not Atlas and this and that. Why do you say that your product or service is an obstacle?
Well, I think I already kind of summed it up already, which is that anything between where they are and where they want to be is an obstacle.
Okay.
So the faster the faster they can get there, the better and easier it is, right? But because they want to go from, the crisis or the situation that they're into a better situation and the oasis, whatever it takes to get there is an obstacle, regardless if it's something that they want to buy, don't want to buy, whatever it is, it's still an obstacle. Kind of like, even if you look at any analogy, like let's say you want to drive from your house to downtown. The obstacle is the traffic. It's the highway. Even though the highway is cool, it's just faster. It's still an obstacle, because if you could snap your fingers and go downtown, you would probably do that.
And today it was almost a foot of snow, sleet, slush, hail, slipping and sliding. I broke the law today 10 times, I admit. I slid through stop signs and yellow and red lights because if you stopped, there was no starting again.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I've been there.
so yeah, that was an obstacle. It'd be like, well, if I could just get to where I want to go without all of that.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna parrot what you said. They're in the crisis. They want to be at the oasis. And the bridge there, they keep falling down into the hole, and you talk about that in one of your frameworks. If they could just jump over the bridge and not have to go through anything, they would do it. It's like, here's the magic pill. Take this pill. You'll wake up tomorrow. You'll be 50 pounds lighter. I'm in. Doesn't matter
yeah,
what it is. But
and
it's like, no, you have to go through all of this stuff. And you're like, oh, crap. I don't know if I want to do that. And then it's kind of like Atlas. Yeah, you got 12 weeks. And if you don't show up and if you don't do the work, it's not going to work.
yeah. Well, yes and no. I mean, there is, yeah, for sure you have to do the work. But there's really great questions here that I want to address. What we're talking about here. One is that, like, Meadow's seeing that's starting to make sense now, and the obstacle. I'm just thinking of another analogy, which is, because I really want to make it simplified, where it's even if you wanted to eat dinner, the obstacle is you going to the store and buying food and going and cooking it and then eating. Where a solution might be someone else cooking it for you, or I'm a chef, or fast food, or a place that delivers ready-made food for you, like that kind of thing. They're trying. It's still an obstacle because you still have to wait for the food, but now
Right.
the obstacle is easier, right? To get
Right.
that I'm going to be eating now. I can feed myself or whatever it is. You were going to say something?
No, I was just listening to you. That's a great analogy of that. And in looking at the product, and if you put it aside and said, okay, what do they need? How do we get them there? And oh, by the way, yeah, I can do that and I can help you do that and that. And by the way, there happens to be a thing I have that's going to help you do it. And I think by looking at it this way, it takes the focus that everyone's got of, especially in the message navigator, as you call it. And when you're having conversations with people, if we took the product out of the mix and we just focused on them and their crisis and the oasis, then at the end of it, it would be like, I love your ending is, want some help with that?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, yeah, I do. I was like, okay, now, by the way, I have this thing that will help you do that
Mm-hmm.
instead of throughout the whole process. Yeah, I got this course, and in this, and in week 2 we do this, and in week 7 we do this. It's like, no, here's what I do to help you get what you want. And by the way,
Yep.
go.
And Meadow, this is a great question too, because it is a vehicle as well. It's not just one or the other, but most of the stuff that we're taught, which is not wrong. It's just that it's focused on, you're doing a disservice if you don't sell, and it is a vehicle to get here and there. It's totally right, because it is a vehicle. But we also have to recognize it is also an obstacle. It's just like, let's take a physical vehicle to get somewhere. That is an obstacle. You still have to get in the car, you got to turn it on, you got to drive, you got to navigate, and it sounds crazy, but it truly is. Because if you could have the power to magically transport from where you are to where you want to go, you probably wouldn't say, no, I'd rather get in my car and
Yeah,
drive,
I'd
like,
rather get in my car and face
right?
traffic and drivers and time and this and miss out. Yeah, I'd rather just. Tony Robbins says no extra time. What could I do while I'm doing something else? And it's, for a lot of time, it's like, okay, to get in the vehicle and drive is a lot of time that I could be doing something I really want to do. And what you really want to do, and your example is, I really want to eat. I don't want to. And that's, I like the analogy because, again, I really want to eat, but I don't feel like getting in the car and I got to wait. I really want the oasis, but I don't want to go through all of the stuff. So, how do you help me get from there to there?
Yeah, and look, if you look at we'll stick with the car analogy because
Yeah,
let's look at Tesla. What are they doing? They're trying to make the vehicle easier, right?
yeah,
This is the vehicle to get you there, but it's also an obstacle because you have to drive. Well, what are they doing? They're automating it, right?
yep,
You're
yep.
connected to satellite. You can now just sit back and do whatever you want to do. If you wanted to be texting on your phone, which I don't recommend anybody do, but whatever, if you want to not drive, here's how we're going to help you get there faster. So they're recognizing this is what I mean. And these are great questions, Meadow. I don't think there's just one way of looking at it. But I think it's important for us to recognize, at least it's for me. You don't have to agree. Anybody listening to this doesn't have to agree. But when I look at it from as an obstacle, I know that people don't want to do the work. So I'm trying to make that job easier. We, if we're selling it all the time as the solution or the vehicle, that's part of the thing. I don't know what your thoughts are, Scott, but that's part of it. But as it's not that we're selling it as an obstacle, we have to recognize that it is. So we're always constantly tweaking it to make it an easier obstacle for them to get through. That's what I'm saying. It's not that we're marketing it this way or we're talking about it to them. It's our internal compass to say, I know this is an obstacle, even though my course is amazing. What if I don't do, 9 modules and I do 6? Can I do that? How can I do that? Like, that's what I'm talking about. Understanding from their point of view that this is actually an obstacle. Even a week, if you had a week course, it's still an obstacle somehow. Like, how can I make this into 3 days? And I'm not talking about just marketing, but understanding it from the a way of it being an obstacle. Scott.
Well, again, yeah, Joey, regardless, you have to go through something to get what you want. We have a belief, we have a desire, we have a want, we have something we want and need, and in order to get it, it usually isn't click, that's done. We have to go through some effort, and that's, I think, where the obstacle comes in. And I'll read this from Jeffrey if you're okay with that.
100%.
You said perfect in Atlas. No one wants to be sold or convinced, but people love to buy and be part of something bigger than they are. That takes an undoing of old beliefs and patience to redo new empowering beliefs that will and compound on their own with better long term results. Well said, Jeffrey. Very
Thank you,
well said.
Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Yep. Well said. And now it's making a little bit more sense, Metal. That's amazing. I do have
Again,
my iPad up
Joey,
here. Go
what
ahead.
Jeffrey said also goes into the second pillar, which is serve, don't sell. And if you're serving, you're not trying to sell your course. You're serving and helping people solve and giving them what they need without pushing a course all the time. Now, I'm going to go back to what you said about one of the mentalities or philosophies that we hear is, oh, you're doing a disservice if you don't sell. Like, there was a post somebody made in the Facebook group that, like, you have to twist their arm, and it's your responsibility to make them buy something that you know will be good for them. I don't agree with that whatsoever. Now, I believe that if you have something that truly will serve your dream client, solve their crisis, get them to the oasis, that by not mentioning it all is doing a disservice.
Yes.
But The disservice to me is throttle marketing. Go.
Yeah, and you're right because I think that that mentality or whatever it is, call it a belief, was twisted and turned from stuff that Jay Abraham talked about many years ago. Because
Yeah.
in his book, Mr. X, he talks about that you're doing a disservice if you don't offer it to your clients and all these other things. But I love, well, when I say love, it's like the funny love thing. It's like, haha, yeah, right, sure. How people just take the pieces that they want and twist that and say, well, this is exactly this is what Jay said. Yeah, he did say that, but you missed all the other parts about
Yeah.
all being in people's worlds and being a service to them and all that stuff. You missed all of that,
Yeah.
and you're only focusing on, well, it's a disservice if you don't offer.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but are you doing all the omnipresent stuff? Are you being in front of people? Are you actually caring about them? All those other things, and you're just focusing on the, well, that's what he said. I should be offering something every single time I talk to people. Okay, right? It's like, let's get the whole picture here. And you're right. I am completely against that. It makes
Yeah.
me my stomach turn when I was in that world a couple of years ago, and that was the big thing. It's a disservice if you don't let them know and your offer and everything else. But it was more about, like, you like to use throttle marketers. It's I use bulldoze marketers, and it's my, well, that's all that they're about is how do I make money today? Because if I don't offer it, then I'm not doing my part in the world. You're not doing your part in the world because you don't have money in your bank account today. That's what's you're messing you
And
up.
Joey, again, what you do and what you teach with the Super PS, for example, is that's look. Oh, by the way, I have these things that I offer to help you with these things. You're not doing a disservice. You're not throttling them. You're just in the information and the value that you provide as you're serving them. It's like, hey, here's some opportunities if you're interested
Yeah,
in.
if you need help with this, just let me know and we can talk about these things. Otherwise,
Exactly.
let me continue to talk about this other thing here that I'm giving you, or whatever. Here's
Yeah.
a great topic we're talking about. And yeah, because it's this balance, Scott, and it took me so long to figure. I shouldn't say I figured it out. I just started listening to more people who were doing these things way better than I was, and just kind of just you know jumped on their bandwagon. Like, okay, I'm gonna do that exact same thing. Start building relationships. Start, really showing people how much I care. Go figure. And actually, this brings up another point because,
Wait, hold your point because I need to
okay,
jump on something you said before you move on.
okay,
And now I forgot what it was because I was listening to you. But when go on, you go your point. Mine will come back. Go.
uh, yeah, my friend Kevin Thompson today said something on his feed, and it was about reputation, and I was learned something today. And as you know, we've talked about this before. And this, I don't know if this is related to this, but I think it is related to this. It just came to me because of the conversation, so it must be.
Everything's related, Joey.
Yeah. And so, as you know, one of the biggest things in my entire life has always been about protecting my reputation, right? That's the
Yep.
biggest thing.
Oh yeah.
And he talked about that today. And he said he learned from somebody else, I forget who it is, and who said, you're not trying to protect your reputation because that's other people, what they think of you. What you really care about is your character, because that's who you are and how you show up. And I just want to give him credit for that because today my life changed just because of that. So I no longer care about my reputation. I care about my character.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I just thought it's a different paradigm shift. And I think that it was all related to the people that I follow and love and adore and are taught from. It's their character that I love, that I follow, more than the reputation. Like, I don't care. And I just realized that today by Kevin, first of all. And then, so I don't know where I was going with this, but I think that's where this is all coming from, is like where you're building, not the whole disservice thing. It's about what is what is your character showing up in order to serve the world? Is it truly who you are as a person because you want to help, or is it because you just care about your bank account?
So I'm going to tell you where you were going. How's that?
All right, thank you. Thank you.
First of all, you said a moment ago, you said, I figured it out. And then you said, wait a second. No, I didn't figure it out. I'm going to disagree with you. You did figure it out because that is one of your superpowers is you go out and you research and you listen, you absorb and you read and you study and then you figure it out. And that's part of your process in your systematization and you just who you are and what you do. That's your superpowers. And so you did figure it out. So I want to just give you props on that. And it's okay that you say you figured it out because you say you figured it out based on what you've absorbed from other people. And again, I've talked about that for years, that that's one of your most amazing superpowers is your ability to, and I'll jump into that you mentioned character. And I'm going to bring it into the topic tonight because if you truly are concerned about your character and you're doing everything, somebody with that character shows up and serves. Somebody with good character isn't showing up and throttle marketing. And as Jeffrey said, isn't trying to sell or convince, you're serving. And that's the character that we're looking to build and develop. So go.
Right. Thank you. Meadow says, when she was just updating my gift, I felt a twinge of guilt by making it an opt in as opposed to just giving the link directly to my calendar because it adds two more steps to get to my calendar. Yeah, there's a place for that though, Meadow. Like don't beat yourself up because we're just talking about obstacles here or uh, gifts. Like we do want, you could look at it from another point of view when it I talk about giving a lot of stuff away for free or reversing the process, like just get rid of the opt-in and whatever. But there is a point where we want to build our list with the right people, we're curating the right people so that we could serve them, not so we could sell them. So if you put up, an opt-in because the intent is to curate the tribe in order to serve them and invite them every so often to something that you have that can serve them in a better way, then yes, you need to put up the opt-in. You need to get them in a container where you control that container in order to communicate with them in a very loving, supportive, insightful way.
Thank you, Joey. And I want to address what Meadow said here is a twinge of guilt by making it an opt in. And I appreciate that. And that's the thrust of everything that I'm doing and engaging with is, and again, don't take this as conceit or grandiose. I've invested 40 plus years in thousands of clients. And as you, Joey, invested who knows how much time, effort, energy, money, resources to learn this stuff, implement it, test it, play with it. That when we decide to engage with someone, they need to jump through some hoops. They've got to overcome and show us that they want to do it. That's why, to me, it's okay, here's your gift. You want another gift? Opt in. Now I can take you further, and you're showing me that you want this, as opposed to, hey, opt in to get my thing, and you opt in to get my thing, and then you never look at my stuff again. I'm wasting my emails. I am encouraging everybody to move to that where they have to jump through hoops. Like I said earlier, jump through hoops to get into my world because you don't you don't just want to let anybody into your world. That's too special what has been created. You've over the last 3.5 years watching the group grow and how it's evolved to let somebody in there that's not good for the group, that it doesn't make sense to let somebody into Atlas after you've spent 10 atlases in the last few years developing it and curating it, and you hone it more and more. So it's kind of like relationships. when you go to find a partner and you date, you end up figuring out, well, this is exactly who and what I want. Well, it's the same
Yeah.
thing here. And you're not just going to go out with anyone for the sake of going out. You're going to say, if I'm going to get dressed up and I'm going to do this and I'm going to make a reservation and make all these plans, it's got to be worth it for both of us. So I like what you're doing here. And yeah, it does add two steps. Me, I'm now teaching everyone that they've got to go through two or three steps before you give them whatever it is, the offer. And I'm going to say the offer, that could be join my group. It could be stay on my list. It could be in a value sequence. It's not, okay, you've gone three, now I'm going to put you into a sales sequence.
Yeah.
That's okay too, but it's more about, again, I want those obstacles, which are different than the obstacles we're talking about. So go.
Yeah. Um, Meta brings up the point of the stuff that I have to get over, feeling that I need to be super accessible and boundary stuff. This is another discussion. Like, you're bringing up so many
Oh
great
boy.
points, and I want to reference this too because, and this kind of relates back to what I was just saying, that learning from other people and what they're doing and watching them and going down and I love being a guinea pig, and sometimes it hurts a lot because it costs me a lot of money and time,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
that didn't work, that kind of sucks. But I also love it because it just gives me something of tangible evidence that I could help and share with other people to avoid. But that's not the point I want to make. The point is that when I first started in coaching back in 2012, I remember my first coach was, I think, yeah, he said when he goes to events, because at that time, like networking and everything, he doesn't give cards to people, right? So he made it very difficult for you to get a hold of him. So he would control the situation. And I thought that was brilliant. I'm like, okay, that's cool. So that means if you say, how do we get a hold of each other? Whatever, let's connect after this. Let's exchange information. I would say, Scott, give me your card and I'll I'll email you, I'll connect you. But I wouldn't give you my information. So if I just don't have any anymore, whatever it is, I would only, so that meant I was in control of, I guess, the boundaries, and I would control like when I would be connecting with you. So I did that for many, many years, and it worked. It worked because it positioned me differently or whatever. But then it stopped working because the world changed, and
Right.
at least that's the way I've seen it. The world changed, and people want connection. And so, with your boundaries question, Meadow, and we can go into the scope of this on Atlas, but is there's like a two-sided coin. It's more it's like you have to give. I believe, I shouldn't say have to, but be open to giving the right people the access to you. However, and you still have boundaries there that they know what the boundaries are. But are we giving the access to the wrong people? That's where the boundaries have to go in, which all comes back down to what we're talking about today, which is the curation. Who's the dream client? What does all that look like? What's the group they're going into? What do they look like? And are you ignoring the group? Just the kind of like, and I always use that fish analogy where you're right, you're bringing fish into the pond,
Yeah.
and everybody
Yeah.
forgets about feeding the fish, and they go out
Yeah.
and they try to get more. Well, we could be doing the same thing with our clients, with the people
Yeah.
that have bought our programs, and we find that a lot too, right? Okay, well, I've done everything in my power to convince somebody to buy my stuff, and they come in, and then I totally forget about them because, well, they've already bought. I don't need to really. I'll show up once in a while and answer a couple of questions, whatever, right? But then they put all their energy out there on people that are cold to try to convince them to buy when they really should be putting the emphasis. Can you tell I'm really passionate about this? On the people who have already bought from them, giving them their hard-earned money and doing everything in their power to help them through the freaking obstacle that they just bought to get to the result.
Joey, I remember um, you know, that particular topic of when I was doing my seminars and traveling, and I had 50, 100, 200, 300 people in the room, and we were talking about marketing. And I would always ask, how many of you have an email list? How big is it? Where is it? 99% of them had a list and it was hidden somewhere. They didn't do anything with it. Again, they were always trying to bring in more people rather than, and you know, when I built the software company, we had like 250 people on our list. That was it. And we just kept helping them. It wasn't like, I got to find more people. I got to find more people. It's like, what do these people need? And you do it brilliantly too. You got right marketing copy, you've got Atlas, you've got Academy, you've got whatever it is that serves those people, because once you take them from their crisis to the oasis and they're in the oasis, I'm not going to say there's new crises that arise, but there's now it's like, okay, what's next?
Yeah,
You've
well,
taught
one
me
solution always creates another problem.
right. And by the time you've taken them through Atlas 12 weeks and you've done it 10 times, you've gone to a whole new level. So somebody that took Atlas the first, second, or third version, Atlas 11, what you've learned and what you've discovered, not just from doing Atlas, but you're not just sitting there doing nothing all the time. You are constantly, like you talked about, this character piece. Somebody that we forgot about, but what if we kept serving them and helping them and giving them more opportunities? You're absolutely right. So
Yep.
go.
Lorna says, character versus reputation. What happens when somebody else has not been happy with something you've done and may influence others who don't know about your good character? This is a big question. It's if you're brand new to the world and your reputation is part of the game. But here's I don't know what the answer is for this. Like, I don't know, Scott, if you have insight on this, or maybe somebody else watching can help us on the insight. But I think that it's so important, from what I've learned about, now I'm going to call it character because that's what it is what you've done up to this point consistently. That's the thing. And in Kevin's post, he said that, or one person, he's telling the story. He told me this before too. But he's like, if someone came up to me and said something bad about you, I wouldn't judge you. I would judge them,
Exactly.
because they don't know who you are and I do, because of your character. And that like totally changed the paradigm for me, because yes, there's probably somebody who says something bad about me or my reputation or whatever, but it's like I've always said before, and this is even before, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I said, you know what, I'm just going to do things that if you meet somebody, eventually you're going to meet somebody that says something negative about me, and hopefully I pinned it like to the person that I was helping, that you're going to defend me, because that's
Yeah.
what I'm showing up for you. And if somebody says something negative about me, you're going to say, you have no idea who Joey is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that I thought was reputation, but it was really about character.
That's character.
Yeah.
That's character. You can control character. You can't control reputation. And
Yeah.
when, like, if somebody starts talking about somebody else called gossip, I'm gone. I'm out. I don't want to talk about other people unless we're talking about developing people, but not, oh, this person did this and this person did this. And anybody that says something negative about somebody, I'm going to look at the person and say, why, who are you to judge somebody? I think there's only one being, depending on who you believe or what you believe in, that judges. And so, this it's a tough piece, Lorna, and it's really, and that's, Joey, why you go. Somebody wants to know about you. You've got tons and tons of all the testimonials and things you've done with people, and there's people out there that get into the world or come on to your Kajabi masterclass or your master, whatever it is, and they're like, uh-uh, this guy is too heart centered. This guy is this. I need to make money this week, and so they're gonna like be, no, that guy Joey, he's just that's no good. It's too this and that. And he doesn't know what he's talking about, because that's where their mindset is, and it's going to happen. But if somebody ever said to me something bad, it's like, you don't know him, and there's nothing, especially in the world of the internet.
Yeah,
There's
I
no
think that
way.
character, here's the sad part about this, Scott, or the hard part for anybody listening too, is that character's built. Like you just can't start something and have character, really, or be
Right.
known for that character. I mean, it's who you are, but that has to be shown over time. And that's
Yeah.
why for me, I always go back down to focus on one dang thing and do that really, really well, and you'll build your character. I'm going to start using character over and over again now because, yeah, you're building your reputation, but you're building your character as well. Look at Atlas, man. Atlas, in terms of just the guarantee alone, is a
Yeah.
character
Yeah.
statement. It's
Yeah.
not a it's a marketing thing. It's a guarantee thingy, but it's built on character because it's like I'm going to do everything in my power to take away the risk for you, and I'm going to get you 5 times your money. And if that doesn't happen, and if blah blah blah, it's all of me internally thinking, what can I do to make my dream client's life better? Not about the money. That's probably there. It's like maybe a 10% of it is like, okay, how do I make it easier to make them to buy? But it's more about character. And that
Yeah.
has to come through time and building your character.
Well, Joey, character creates credibility and authority. That's, I believe, what you're talking about. And over time, you develop character, which develops credibility, and then you have authority
Yeah,
out
and,
there.
and other people will see who you are. That's what Kevin is just talking about there. Is like somebody else will defend you rather than you having to defend because you're just showing up the way that you are. Right?
Yeah,
And that's what it is. Uh
exactly.
who is this?
This
I
is
don't
Jeffrey.
Okay. Do you want to read it?
Sure. You keep explaining patience and developing a true inner confidence. You can serve others through their problems. And we forget the best part of this is that when someone receives more than they thought they ever could, they can't wait to tell everyone and their dog. Yep. We don't know who our client knows. Excellent point. Just focus on the client and their needs. They will take care of you. Exactly.
Yeah,
The
Dan
year
Sullivan says it perfectly that if you change a person in a profound way, they will tell others.
Years ago, I was running a restaurant in Delray Beach, Florida, back then in the hospitality world for me. And one of my waiters' name was Tom, and I called him Squeaky Tom because Tom squeaked and complained no matter what. If I gave him a two top, he complained that I didn't give him a four top. If I gave him an eight top, he complained that it was too many people. If I gave him two tables, he complained. If Jeff had three tables and he had two, he complained. One day I sat him a table of two. The party's name was Breck, and he complained and bitched and moaned and blah, 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 blah. Well, at the end of the day, it was the air of Breck shampoo, and they left him like an insanely ridiculous tip. And the other thing was, you don't know, exactly to Jeff's point, you don't know who your client knows. You don't know who they work for. You don't know who they're going to talk to. And it goes to, again, years ago when I was keynoting and speaking, I never knew who was in the audience. I was having cognac and cigar with the guy that was the head of Marriott's catering convention service for the whole company. And we were just hanging out in this. And one day somebody called him up and was like, I need somebody to help train my 44 hotels. And he goes, oh, I know Scott. Contact him. And that was just because of character over time that built. He knew what I was talking about. I did a survey for Marriott on the average compensation of a catering director throughout the world. And so there was developing my credibility and character. And that's the way to do it out there. And you do it brilliantly. And anybody that wants to learn how to do testimonials should take your course on testimonials.
If I had one. Uh, so, and this is great. This is a really good way of positioning it too. I think this is Jeffrey as well. Maybe character is how you show up, and reputation is perception. So, yes,
I like that. That's you should write that somewhere, Jeffrey. That's good. Write a blog
character
post.
character is you. It's
Yeah,
how you show up because it's just
yeah,
you, and the reputation is the outside world. That's who controls your reputation, the outside world's perception of what they know about you, which is why when your character outshines a reputation, let's say, and somebody tries to tarnish your reputation, then your character will shine through, and somebody who knows you will say you're full of crap, You have no idea. It's not that
So,
your
Joey,
reputation or will be 100% by everybody. There's always going to be somebody, but your character will shine through.
we could probably go find 1,000 movies on that theme right there. Something happens to the character, and somebody hurts their reputation and beats them up, and then but at the end, the character shines through, and everybody who supports them comes in, and that's what succeeds in the end. So Meadows quoting me. I like that. I should hire
Yeah.
Meadow to just listen to me and write all my stuff down, and then I'll just put it out there and make videos and TikToks and Insta tweets and Grams and Facebook short lives, YouTube
She's
thing.
really good at that. Like that's one of her superpowers, believe it or
Yeah,
not. Like it is.
yeah,
I see her on Academy, I see her in Atlas, and she's not only listening, but then she's kind of just what are those people that transcribe when you're at the court
yeah,
thingy?
yeah. Transcriptionist.
Transcription, like just boom, 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 and still listening to the whole thing. I'm like, well, how do you do this? And so that's a superpower for sure.
Yeah. So you
Uh,
control character, you can't control. So Jeffrey again. Wow, we got a lot of good feedback tonight, Joey. What are you and I drinking today? Water. Um, You walk into a room of 50 people, you have 50 reputations and no control of what they think. So why even try? Just focus on who you know you can help. And I would continue that in saying you walk into a room of 50 people, and I've done that hundreds of times, and you have a reputation, and maybe it was the flyer, the brochure of that. And I think then over time, you build character. So
so then,
it,
this is going into a whole character discussion, but
no
that's the
way,
way it
that's not
goes.
possible, Joey, that we
That's the
would
way it
go into
goes.
another direction.
What do you
Hey,
think
we've
about
done good. We've stayed pretty much on track with the topic tonight.
we have like what happens with or the whole my reputation or your reputation precedes you? So how would you address that? What does that mean to you?
Well, reputation does precede you because somebody hears something about you. That's your reputation. They read something about you. When you actually show up and they experience you, then they understand your character. That's how I put that. What about you?
Yeah, that I couldn't say it any better. That was it's like okay, I've heard you're great at this or you're great at that or um even if it's
Oh,
the opposite. If
that's
you're
from Jenna, not Jeffrey.
from what? From Jenna from
That
the walk into a room?
Yeah, she says that is me, Jenna. So,
Oh,
or is
thanks
wait,
Jenna. Sorry.
no, wait, is that Jeffrey or is that her saying that? Oh, that's from me, Jenna. Yeah, got it. Okay.
The walk into a room is from Jenna.
Yeah, thank you,
From
Jenna. Yeah,
so
that's good.
yeah, your reputation precedes you is if you that's more on what the public is saying about you and they've heard good things or bad things about you, whatever it is,
Yep.
and then your character will shine through. So if they've heard something not good, negative, then your character can still shine through. You could still
Yeah,
do
yeah.
something or be the person who you are and turn that their mindset around.
Let me ask you this one, Joey. You have a reputation in the Kajabi group as an expert, and I say that because you go in and you answer questions in your lane about dream clients. You have a reputation with the Kajabi master class that you do. Once they get in, they've heard about you, they've read about it, they've seen the emails, the posts. Then they get in and they experience you, and then it's like, oh, okay, now I can appreciate him. Your character is what we deliver. I don't think we deliver a reputation; we deliver our
No.
character.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, because I see that every month.
Yeah,
I see it every month, and it's not only do I see it because I can hear the breakthroughs, but I read it, and people pen that. They don't say your character changed me today. Like they don't say that, but they just like, but they can sense that I speak their language, that kind of thing, and that's my character. That's just who I am because I show up like that, and so it resonates with the right people, and they're expressing it in a different way. And if you truly read between the lines, then I suppose it is um, a um, a validation of character, if you want to call it that.
yep. Meadow says here, you can put it up because I was actually talking about this today. Is I've been studying the law of reciprocity. It's exactly what you guys are saying. What you give out, you get back. Yeah, and to me, Joey, I am totally with the reciprocity. That's what you and I totally believe in. And but to me, I think the law of reciprocity is you give to get. You make deposits to make withdrawals. I look at it as how many deposits can I make with things, people not wanting a withdrawal voluntarily, but maybe it just comes. Same thing is serving and helping and showing up to putting all that. I'll jump into the seed principle here with the law of reciprocity. It's planting the seeds rather than having the expectation of. Sometimes there is the law of reciprocity. You give expecting something in return. But I think for you and I, it holds true that a lot of what we do is the giving piece, the serving piece, and going into number three, respecting their timeline. I think that's part of the law of reciprocity because we may do something today and see the fruits of it 6 months, a year from now.
Yeah, 100%. Like when I look at I know that the law is there,
Right.
but I'm not expecting it from the individual. I mean, and I don't like the word you to use the word expect, but I know that it's in effect because it's just a law that the more I give, the more I get back, but I'm not necessarily looking at it individually. I'm looking at it as the entire group. If I just serve my tribe, then reciprocity will come back to me in some way, shape, or form. And it's not always in the fact of, well, I'm going to get 10 people to buy Atlas. I'm going to get 20 people this cohort. It's not like that either. It's some way, shape, or form. The universe will deliver to me because I'm giving in the world as well. And
And Joey, what if the law of reciprocity is karma?
yeah,
What if what we do now may come back in another lifetime, in a future, in down the road, or who knows? So to have that expectation. And Meadows here, what I'm reading is the spiritual take on the law of reciprocity. Yeah, it's exactly. That's just what we're saying.
yep.
Is it's like you've heard my ikigai, my purpose for being: serve God, help others, love unconditionally. If at the end of the day I've accomplished those three things, it's been a great day. If I improve the quality of somebody's life by 10% because I've engaged with them and helped them, it's been good. And if my journey ended today, I'd be able to say, you know what, today I was able to do this and serve and help and not be like, well, I helped all these people. I ran a yoga studio for a year and a half, 2 years. And law of reciprocity, it didn't come back from that, but it was later on. And it was not done with an expectation. And most of what I do these days, unless, of course, a client contacts and this, and it's like, okay, I need your help with this. Now there's an expectation of, okay, you want me to do something, but to get there, it's taking all the obstacles out of the way. Here's how about that, bringing it full circle. Taking all the obstacles out of the way that get in the way from truly serving our dream clients that we carefully vet and curate.
Well,
How's that for
what about the ones
one?
that are not dream clients? This is one of the areas where I see and hear a lot of challenges. Where I did what you're saying, Joey. I've helped in groups or whatever, and I don't get anything from it, and they're expecting that thing to happen right in front of them, and
Yeah.
that's not how it works. So even if there's somebody that I spend, and this has happened to me, it's happened more than I can count on one hand, if not even more. But spending a lot of time talking to someone about Atlas, even, or just in the process of it, or just talking randomly about dream clients and all these other things, that has not become a client. And if I would have looked at it, I believe if I would have looked at it saying that was a waste of time, then the universe would have said, okay, then we will not give you the person who is on the outside looking in right now, who's waiting to buy from you. We'll just turn that person away because you seem to be only focused on gaining from the help that you say that you're giving people when you're truly not giving. You're actually looking for to get.
And Joey, here's another piece to that in the expectation. if you have an expectation of a thing, I don't think you're open for the expectation of what could happen. And for example, you've taught me, and I've watched over the 3.5 years, 4 years, whatever it's been, is that when you engage with people in the law of reciprocity, the return back might be a nugget. It might be a comment. It might be something in your copy bank that you go, oh my God, I've never heard that before. And it helps you to help somebody else down the road. So maybe that person's role was not to buy Atlas or to give you money, but to give you that one little piece that you needed that would help 10 other people or 20 other people. And that's what you do brilliantly, is the filtering of all that information. And I think that's really what should be looked at in the law of reciprocity is,
Yeah.
I'm giving, and yeah, I would like it to be returned in however the universe decides it should be returned. Not, okay, I'm doing this and this, I expect 10 people to call me and join my consulting program.
Yeah.
No.
I think there's one of the books that you and I love, The Go Giver.
Yep.
Meadow, if
Yep.
you haven't read The Go Giver and you're doing
Yep.
this, studying on reciprocity, I highly recommend you read that book.
Yeah.
It changes the paradigm of everything.
Yep.
And because again, it's taking a lot of like the influence is so powerful. Cialdini's book, and all the examples in there are brilliantly explained, but it is basically an immediate ROI on it. And again, we have to zoom out. We have to look at, well, this person did this to 10 people and they got 2 people to do this. Like they're all experiments and that's fantastic. But we have to, look at that as for the context that it is and not just, okay, this is what reciprocity means. And I'm not saying this is what you're thinking, Meadow, but I just want to make sure that everyone listening takes this into account, because sometimes we read with blinders on. Sometimes this is what it means, and that's at least not the way that I believe you and I look at it. It's more of reciprocity is just reciprocity. Like we believe the universe will deliver back to us in multiple ways, and sometimes we can't even connect the dots. Sometimes it's just like, wow, it's just I can't believe all the lights were green to the store and I got a parking spot the closest to the door. That's amazing. To me, when that happens, Scott, I believe in reciprocity. I believe in universe. I believe that, wow, my drive was really easy today and I didn't even have to fight for a parking spot. That to me is the universe saying, thank you for delivering to the world. I don't know what
Well,
you
I mean,
think about it, but
yeah, no, I agree. And the definition of reciprocity is mutual benefit. And again, it doesn't define what the mutual benefit could be. Again, to me, the benefit could, law of reciprocity, supporting and showing up here is,
yeah.
there's no expectation, never has been. That doesn't mean that there's all kinds of things that happen that I don't even know are happening. A lot of the invisible things we talk about. There's the things we intentionally go out and do, and then there's the activities that are happening beyond our control. But you know what? A lot of what we put out there, I talk about my paper lanterns, and you put things out there. The more you put out there in the seed principle, the law of reciprocity, that to me breaks down the obstacles that we create when we do that. How's that for tying it back to the topic, Joey?
Yeah, and even if you look at this, because it could be about individuals, and I don't want to take that away from it, but it's also from the audience point of view or the tribe. So if I look at, I'm serving my tribe today, I'm serving my email list, and I'm serving them, and then the reciprocity comes from the email list or from
Mm-hmm.
somebody within the email list that I may not know of, but I'm
Right.
serving them, as a mass, because I'm certain, I'm emailing a few people at a time, but I'm serving the one source. And then if I just look at that one source and say, yes, I got reciprocity from my list, we could look at it from that point of view too. There's a
Right.
billion ways to look at it.
Oh God, yeah. That's a whole show on its own. Reciprocity. My God. So it's a brilliant book, amazing and so grateful to be here. Love and soul hugs. Well, obviously, we don't have to know who that is. Hi, colleague. Good to see you.
You're welcome, by the way, and thank you for calling for that. And the reputation discussion, hopefully it gave you a little bit more insight. If not, let us know. But yeah, um,
Let us know. And by the way, if you're watching live, hashtag live. If you're watching on the replay, hashtag replay. Anybody that comments, asks a question will always be responded to. That's the genius of Joey Ragona's magic of his Notion AI Joey Ragona thing. And of course, if you are not a member of the Heart Centered Marketing Club, join it only if you are heart centered and you want to serve and not sell, and you want to respect and build a tribe and let them make decisions when it's time for them. There you go. And now we have a Facebook user, and this could be Jenna or Jeffrey. Lose your attachment to what you think the results should be. Yep. And focus on what you love doing for others. You will have results you cannot imagine how. We shortchange ourselves when we focus on the short term, or like you said, what we get now, then give. Brilliantly said.
yeah, whoever said that's brilliant for sure. I love something. I think, again, I'm going to reference Dan Sullivan. I think he's the one that said this, that you're planting, no, you're doing things for always for future money.
Hmm.
And I think I screwed up the way he said it, but that's basically what it means is that, whatever you're doing now is not about today money, it's about future money. And that again shifted my paradigm. It's like, I always say this on Kajabi where what shifted for me was when I woke up and said, how do I serve today instead of how do I sell today? And then
It
I
was
read Dan's thing. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the same thing then. I'm doing things for future money that I have no idea when that future money is going to show up or whatever, from who, but the thing I'm doing today is going to give me future money in some way, shape, or form.
well, I like what you said, Joey. What if you woke up and said, instead of, I have to find some clients and make some money today, instead it was, I need to serve some dream clients and transform their lives.
Yeah, or what if you just woke up and said, I need to find some people that I could help today and serve and answer questions or whatever it is with my
Whatever it is.
genius,
Yeah.
you know? So
Yeah.
yes, serving the dream clients for sure if you have them, because those are the ones where
Right.
some of us may just forget about them. They've already bought. Why should they deal with it? And I think that it's so crazy because I've been there, man. Like I've been so guilty of that. That it's like I don't have to put more energy into these people now, except deliver and stuff like that. But we put way too much energy into trying to find people to buy rather than supporting the people that have already bought. Wow, what time is
I
it?
like that.
I have to go
That's
back and
yeah,
remember
you need to
that.
go into 8:08, Joey, an
Okay.
hour and 8 minutes into the show, and pull that out, because that needs to be a quote or a post or something, because it just, the deeper we go, the more we do this, it just becomes more incredibly powerful as we let go of. And as we just, I'll go back to the three pillars. If you build your tribe, if you serve and don't sell, and if you respect their timeline, the reciprocity fits in there. And the product is your obstacle also fits in there. So if you just focused on those, as you said, you build a tribe of a couple of hundred people, you don't have to do anything else, because you just figure out how to help them, how to serve them. What do I need to do next? When I when Marriott was one of my clients, and I would develop a program for them and I would deliver it. And then 6 months later, I didn't go look for another company. I went and said, what else do they need? And I developed another program. And 6 months later, after I delivered, and I did that 3 or 4 times. And they got used to being, okay, what are you doing now? What's the next thing you're doing for us?
Hmm.
Rather than, okay, I'm off to find somebody else. It's so much easier, as we know, Joey, is to put out an offer to somebody that we've already helped that wants more of what we have. It goes to, why do people show up for a live event? Like, when you do your live event, people are going to show up because they learn their stuff from Joey, but they want to hang out with Joey. They want to be with Joey. Why? Because of Joey's character. How's that one?
I love it.
Callbacks all night long.
Love it. Let me end this with the visual here. I should have brought up
Well,
a
hold
long,
on,
long
Joey.
time ago.
Joey. There's one more comment that I think we should before you close out. We forget this is all under what love is. Yep, love is the only energy in the universe that compounds on itself. We take it in as gratitude, compound on it, and give it back out as what we say, do, serve, and attitude. And I'm going to add to that, and I came up with this. I didn't find it from somebody. Maybe I figured it out. Maybe it just came to me. But when we give love to others, I believe then, therefore, that love we give to the other person then magnifies and goes back out into the world. That to me is what love is. So there you go. I think amazing stuff as always. Joey is incredible. Oh, wait, you both are incredible. So much you give and so much you shall receive. Love and soul hugs. Thank you, Kali.
Thank you. This is so amazing. Let me see here. What do I got? There we go. This is what I want to show
Aha.
you. So, where are you here? I got to put you into that little rounded circle thingy.
Yeah,
Okay.
come on, Joey. Don't. Thank you. Okay, I feel better now.
So this is what the obstacle basically looks like. I won't go through the entire thing here, but um, this is where I just want to show you from an obstacle point of view and a vehicle point of view, because thank you for bringing that up, Meadow, is, the victory path or the bridge here is an obstacle, realistically, because if they could walk from here to here, they would, right? But now you've got this obstacle. Oops, sorry, man. I lost you there for a sec. I messed up something.
That's okay. Keep going, Joey.
I
Keep going.
apologize. So they could just walk through, but now there's this obstacle in the way that they need to cross. And this is what your program is. This bridge, which I call the victory path, is the bridge or the vehicle to get to the oasis, but it's also an obstacle because they have to walk over it. They have to exert energy to walk on this bridge. Even though you're helping them, even though you might give them a motorized vehicle to go across whatever, it's still an obstacle that they have to get through. That's what, just a different paradigm shift to pull yourself out and say, my program is awesome, but it is also an obstacle, and your job is to make this obstacle and the points of getting across as easy and smoothly as possible. So maybe we can dive into that next week a little bit more, but that's basically what it kind of looks like.
And you too can discover the victory path, the crisis, the oasis, the job when you join Atlas. So click on the link below and you too.
Don't say that, because then somebody's going to pull that little thing out and
Yeah, exactly. Somebody will pull that out and say, "You guys said that you never put offers into the show,"
yeah,
and Scott said, "Click the link
yeah,
below."
don't do that.
Just taking it out of context, like we did earlier on. So yeah,
Yeah.
no, just kidding. Obviously, we don't. That's not what we're about. This is about serving. It's not about putting obstacles in the way and causing anything. And it's another piece, Joey, too. And I'll end with it. Is when your product is an obstacle and puts in the way of people coming to engage with you and for you to help them. It should be at the end. It's kind of like when we talk about dream clients, and at the end, it's like, oh, by the way, they have to have money. And it's like, oh, by the way, I actually have a thing course that will help you do that.
Yeah, figures, Rob. Man, my good friend Rob. I've known this guy how many years, man? 40? Has it been 40 years? Wow, something like that. I don't know, maybe even
Wow.
longer.
Cool.
All right. Any last words before we part for
No,
today?
I just incredible show as always. Thank you to our loyal tribe and everybody that participates, supports us, and 199X.
It's been a long time, man.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so thank you for being here. Tuesday nights, we do this live every single Tuesday. We've been doing it now for eons, 199 years so far. And so 7 o'clock when we actually come on time today, we a little bit late, but that's what happens because when we have an amazing discussion before we go live. But
I don't
usually it's
know. We were
seven
on at
o'clock.
7 o'clock. It was just like 7 o'clock in 42 seconds. So
I
we
don't know.
still
My clock said 7:03, so I don't know.
really okay. Well, mine said 7 o'clock, but oh well.
Yeah,
And I just
it was.
learned today that this is the last daylight saving time. Somebody told me they're not doing it anymore.
Well, that's good from what I understand because my wife is a little bit more into it than I am. That apparently we are waiting for New York to buy in and say, "Yep, this is going to be it." So I don't know. Maybe they made that decision.
I don't know. Somebody, my son was here. He told me today. But again, especially now with a worldwide economy, and you're on with Australia, and then you're on with the UK, and then you're on with Sri Lanka, and then you're on. It's like what? Well, Rob, there's always the replay. Hashtag replay, and you can listen to all of Joey's genius.
Thank you, my friend. We'll see you guys next week. Same time, same bat channel. And we'd love to have you inside the group if you want to be in the group. And here is just finally, this is the only call to action that we'll have is to invite you into the group if you are heart centered and want to join us in the conversation there. That's where it continues between the Tuesday nights that we have here. So have yourself an amazing week, and we will see you next week, same time.